President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is just barely 14 days in office. That's about approximately about 2 weeks, as a matter of fact. And some far-reaching decisions and actions have been taken that will shape the course of the country for a long time to come. One of them is the removal of fuel subsidy that has continued to take a toll on the polity, with many businesses, executives, MDs, governments taking decisions to reduce the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy because we have prices of goods, commodities, logistics, transportation skyrocketing. One of the ways that we've seen is a situation wherein the number of days that people come to work had to be reduced. But that is not to say the job will not go on. A lot of reactions have been trailing this because when this whole idea was mooted, the underlying current was that there will be some palliatives that will be given out. What constitutes these palliatives? Who are those that are supposed to benefit from these palliatives? What with the fact that with the removal of fuel subsidy, every individual, whether rich, whether poor, irrespective of the side or the level that you belong to, you will be affected by this decision. We'll be talking along those lines. Just yesterday or so, the president also signed into law the Nigerian Electricity Bill, which gives more individuals to come into the business of electricity generation and distribution. Analyses have been trending on several platforms as to the benefit of this decision, against the background that the outgone President Muhammadu Buhari did not sign this bill into law. Albeit the question of legitimacy hanging on the neck of the president, against the background that the matter is still in contestation in courts. It looks like there are some good decisions that have been made, and it also looks like there are some very bad decisions that have been made. All of these will form the part of our discussions today on the program. As usual, our studio line will be open so you can call and be part of Politics Today on independent television and radio. My name is Sonny Duke Okosun. Welcome on board. And our panelists today on the program, from my extreme left, let me welcome very specially Bishop Osadolo Oche. He's a member of the Edo State Civil Society Organization. Bishop, thank you for coming.
Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate it.
We also have with us in the studio Chief Ken Owe, is a politician and also a businessman. Chief, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We have with us here in the studio a lawyer and a social commentator, Barrister Greg Iyayi. Thank you for coming.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, Bishop, let me start with you from my extreme left. The issue of fuel subsidy removal is one issue that has dominated our discussion in recent times, I mean, nationally and even globally. People have said that this action is not a well thought through process. Would you want to subscribe to this?
Thank you very much. I'm also the Executive Director of People's Defender Advocate.
Okay.
You see, there is nothing human being on the surface of this earth we do that you have 100% applause. People are duty bound to complain. And why some are duty bound to say what you have done is right. It is normal. First, I've listened to a lot of write-ups, commentators, and all the rest, that the removal was very harsh. Two, this law was not passed into law by Tinubu. The petroleum industry bill that was translated into Act of the Parliament came into effect in 2021. And by that act, subsidy have been removed. And petroleum product is now a private matter. That is why NNPC was changed from NNPC to NNPC Nigeria Limited. So they are now in business to make profit. And by that bill, there is open market for every Nigerian or every investor to come into Nigeria and invest in the petroleum industry. Yes, any new thing must have its own beginning problem. And that is why the reaction. Now, Boa Cement is building a refinery in Uyo, like Dangote have built in Lagos. Edo State government partnering with investor have also built at Ologbo. The problem they were having is that they have not been allocated crude oil to process modular refinery and refine products. And by this art, any Nigerian that have the resources can now go into refinery.
Okay.
If you have a space in your compound, you can build a refinery.
Okay.
As long as it does not affect your neighborhood.
All right.
Because of the inflammable
because of the environmental pollution that is associated with. All right, let me proceed there. Bishop, I'll come to you. I'll come to you, Bishop. I'll come to you. Yes, Chief Ken, let's quickly get your take on this development. I mean, if we align with what Bishop Osadolo has said, the law that has unbundled the oil and gas industry is the grounds for this subsidy removal. And once a law is made, a law is supposed to take its full course, and we're all supposed to comply and see how it plays out. What's your take on this?
I totally disagree with some of his points. One, there's no way in the world energy, food is not being subsidized by government. I want anybody to tell me any advanced country that does not subsidize their product. One of the problems, that policy was very harsh. President Tinubu has been part of this government. There's a law that is still in place. There was a subsidy, passed from January to June. We are still in June.
Yes.
You see, there's no government. It had about 2 or 3 months transition program. There were necessary policies that he disagreed with. All he would have done is to go back to the drawing board and find out what these policies were and study them properly. For him to just come, first point, that subsidy has been removed, it's not a tactical, it didn't show concern about Nigerians. Government ineptitude, you want the ordinary man on the street to suffer. They are putting the cart before the horse. If you want to even remove subsidy, like I said just now, there's no way in the world energy security is not being subsidized. Because even in America, there's a ceiling. The government was coming. If you allow the market forces, we, Nigerians, or human beings, everybody want to make profit. As I'm talking to you now, one of the biggest problems that Nigerians are not facing is the under-delivery of the product. There is no petrol station that does not under-deliver, apart from the new rate of 500 or 500 plus. Yes. Go to all the petrol stations, take your gallon there, you will discover the fraud that we have been going through. So when they are talking about 500, we're not even talking about 500, we're talking about 700 or 800. So the masses are going to bear the brunt. Because it's just the beginning, there is no way this government can just come in, remove the subsidy and expect this to flow. No. In another 1 month, you will now begin to see the effect. What President Tinubu will have done is to study the situation and say, okay, how do we now, mitigate the outcome of the removal of subsidy? Okay. Then all you need to do is call these transporters, import enough buses to cushion the effect. So when you can't even remove the subsidy 100%. Government must come in to play that role. Otherwise, the whole thing will go haywire, becoming uncontrollable. There's no way in the world energy security is not being subsidized. That's the only way government can help you. Because when you talk about workers, how many workers do we have? They are less than 2 million out of the 200 million. Then what about the other downtrodden? How are they going to benefit? The only way they can benefit is cheap fuel, hospitals, good roads, which they are nowhere to be found. And now the only thing they are enjoying is this subsidy. Then because you cannot patrol your border, you are telling the people that no, they are taking my petrol to Cameroon. That's the ineptitude of government. All I expected the man would have done is to send an executive bill to National Assembly and say, look, we are going to set up a special tribunal. Anybody, any saboteur, any person that is taking our petroleum product that is supposed to be enjoyed by Nigerians across the border, if you are found 20 years imprisonment, you see, the whole place will calm. Nigerians were law-abiding. What the president will have done, like I said, he will send executive bill. By the time that law is passed, set up this thing. Okay. Then anybody arrested, let them face the law.
Okay. All right, Barrister. Yes. Yeah, you seem to share in these sentiments canvassed by Chief Kenwell.
To a large extent.
Okay.
But I have a perspective. The thing is this: when they are talking of subsidy, that word subsidy is a big fraud, because initially they were calling it deregulation. Then you remember in one regime they were now calling it price adjustments. Then in Babangida's time they were calling it appropriate pricing. Now they started calling it
subsidy,
deregulation, appropriate pricing, whatever you call it, subsidy, price adjustment. What does it amount to? Increments in the pump price of petrol and affliction for the masses. Now let me say this, just like he has said, if you cannot patrol your border and people are smuggling fuel, the disjointed argument that because fuel costs less here, so and then it is bought in Cameroon, so we should increase our price to make it impossible. Has that not been the recycled argument of all governments? Military government, civilian government, anytime they want to say it because it's cheap, it's being smuggled. Let me ask you a question. Are there some things that are cheap in those countries that we are bringing in? Have we heard those countries saying that they want to increase the price because Nigerians are able to afford it? So there must be some things that will be cheaper in this country, cheaper in another country. So the idea of using that argument, to me, is not an argument at all. Okay. If you want to increase price, you increase price. And if you cannot effectively patrol your border, I think that one is your ineptitude, as my colleague has said. Then lastly, I want to say this. If your father built a house for you, and you are not even able to maintain that house, and then you now start blaming circumstances for it. The same time we built our refineries, Kaduna Warri, Indonesia also built their first refinery. Indonesia right now has over 27 refineries. Now, various governments, they inherited these refineries from Gowon. They could not even maintain it. They couldn't build other refineries. And I have to take my cassava that I plant, I will take it abroad. They will process it to gari or whatever product, and then they will bring it back to me. And then I'm blaming other countries. I'm blaming circumstances for it. At least, if you cannot build a new house, the one that you inherited from your father, should you not be able to maintain it? So it's disjointed argument. It's a fraudulent argument. It's an argument that goes nowhere. It doesn't stand on any foundation. It is meant to cheat the masses and give us more affliction.
Bishop Osadolo Che, your argument rested on the fact that the unbundling of the oil and gas sector through the petroleum industry bill that eventually became an act is the grounds for what we are doing. But we also know that when the subsidy was introduced several years ago, it was because we had refineries in a solid state and they couldn't refine the products. Now, as we speak, these same refineries are not working. So where is the product going to come from? I mean, it's a very dicey situation. Let me get your take along those lines.
First, product don't come from refinery. They come from the downstream. They come from excavating it from the ground through the process of crude. And it's the crude that they take to refinery. It's the crude now, because our refineries are not working, that they are now sending abroad to refine and bring back to us to buy. This is the fraud they are trying to checkmate. That so many vessels that they think have left the shore of whatever country, Indonesia or whatever, why the vessels are still there, they are telling us that they have arrived at a Nigerian shore, delivered, and they pay for the delivery, they pay for the subsidy. And they have discovered that year in, year out, they are paying 6.8 trillion for products that are not there. And these monies are going into private pockets. And I cannot exonerate an NPC from this fraud. Are you hearing? So this is the only man that have the courage to say this fraud must stop. This fraud, we can channel this money to other developmental projects. If you remember vividly that in 2012, when Jonathan attempted to remove it, this group of people protested. Buhari called it a fraud, that there is nothing called subsidy. And nothing called subsidy. He came into power for 8 years and sustained fraud. Because of this issue of subsidy, in 2012, the mother of Okonjo-Iweala was kidnapped. And one of the conditions given for the release was that he was talking too much on subsidy. He should resign as the Minister for Finance. That is why I said right now, this man is dogged and he has his own plan and have made it clear when he was campaigning, like any other person. Somebody said he will remove it. Obi said he will remove it immediately. So it's not a new language.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now that you are taking the bull by the horn to remove it, and have said the licenses will be given to as many that want to participate in the industry. I think what we should do is to be patient. Just like when GSM came, NITE was boasting that GSM will never work in this country. I asked a 23-year-old girl whether I know anything called NITE. He said no. Because when the MTN started functioning, they monopolized everywhere. The cost was expensive. Every cost, 1 minute, 50 naira. And when they called for 1 second, you still pay the 50 naira. But when other competitors came in,
it crashed.
Econet came in, Glo came in, the thing clashed.
Okay.
That is what we are still going to experience. Just like the licenses now of power.
We'll get there, Bishop. We'll get there. Let me get Chief. Chief, the president did campaign that he was going to remove fuel subsidy if he gets elected. Eventually, he was declared the winner by INEC, and he has become the president of Nigeria. So in a sense, Nigerians actually voted for subsidy removal. So why the complaints?
Nigeria never voted for subsidy removal. They see consultation going on as regards his selection. I want to use the word selection because we all knew what happened.
Okay, let's leave that because the matter is subject to court. All right.
So we don't know.
So you cannot say that Nigeria voted for subsidy removal. Like I said in my opening remarks, there is a provision for subsidy up to June ending. So as long as that law is still in place and provision has been made, all he will, like I said, he had the transition committee for a period of 2-3 months. He will have studied that situation and put palliatives in place to replace or to cushion the agonizing Ife we are facing right now, for you to fill one car now, you need about 50,000.
Yes.
And how many persons can afford that?
Yes.
You see, we are talking about energy security. As I said, there is no way in the world that energy security is not being subsidized. You must subsidize petrol. There are prices of all the countries. Nigeria is still the highest.
The highest.
Even in America, it's about 333 naira per liter. As of today, black market rate. Otherwise, there's no way as I said, the workforce of federal government and state government put together, I don't think they're up to 5 million. We're talking about 130, Nigerians at different stage of poverty. You see, they are going to, I don't know, there's no better word for me to use to describe how those people can survive. So, number one, all he will have done with his transition program or transition committee is to study the security, study this subsidy removal. Okay. Hence, he already campaigned about it that he was going to remove it. Then we now put, palliative in place to cushion the effect of the aftermath. We must still come back to this subsidy because it's just the beginning. The labor here and there because of the court injunction and all whatnot. There is no way people will sit at home. People are already trekking to work. It's going to get to a point where they can no longer bear the brunt. They will sit at home. So all he will have done is to study the situation for the next 1 month or for that period, his transition period, and say, okay, we are going to go away with this subsidy, but government must still put a cap so that people don't just arbitrarily just jack in their prices just the way it happens now. Some are selling 600, some are selling 5 something. Even when they still on that deliver, that's another kettle of fish for us to discuss some other time.
Okay.
I've also complained to you
yes.
that we should invite the DPRO. You see, government, like I say, in the title of government, is what they want the masses to suffer. Government must come out. The DPRO must come out and do their job so that this country can move forward. Well, it's a huge joke. Nigeria, you can hear billions of dollars. People are just stealing as if Nigeria is going to die tomorrow and nothing is happening. The EFCC, they are complicit in the whole arrangement. I don't know where we are right now.
But when you say the EFCC, they are complicit in the whole arrangement, you are very much aware about how the EFCC on its own has been going after all of these people. For example, we understand the former governor of the central bank is being detained and is being questioned.
It's just for 1 week.
Former governors are also
just for 1 week. All those are Allah balloon.
All of these things are
you won't hear
happening.
anything.
Yes.
It's just nonsense.
All right.
You won't hear anything.
Chief, let me pause you there. Barrister, quickly talk to us about the issue of corruption. We've heard on several occasions that if we must change the tides of development in Nigeria, we must deal with the issue of corruption head on. And from analysis that have been given as it relates to fuel subsidy, there's a whole lot of corruption that has taken place with the subsidy regime that we have in this country, where people claim to have imported fuel, they bring a lot of documents with their briefcases, and they get paid, whereas in actual fact, that never happened. So if we are having a full implementation of the petroleum industry law as it relates to the removal of fuel subsidy to checkmate such nefarious act, isn't that something we should all hail and support and work with the government to see the materialization of the benefit of such a policy?
Yes, but the structure has to be there. And as I see right now, the structure is not there. For instance, you see you have deregulated, you have removed subsidy. So it's like an open market. Why is NNPC fixing the price?
Yes, that's another big question.
Why is
That's where the fraud
NNPC
is.
fixing the price? Nobody, then we are still in a state of monopoly. Somebody dictating the price for us. How can I go to the village market, buy my yams and plantain, and I come and you tell me that this is how much I must sell it? I should be able to sell it, according to the market forces, dictated by the price I paid, the cost of transportation, and maybe the ground rent where I'm going to sell. So these are the problematic. You see, I don't want to go into this thing. When we are talking of those who protested against the removal of fuel subsidy, who was the person that led them? Occupy Nigeria, who was the organizer? Who was the sustainer? Who told us that some fuel subsidy was a scam and it was a lie and there was nothing like that?
And they were in government for 8 years.
Some people, apart from even being part of the government or the people who brought them to government, some of them are in government right now, name withheld. Now, what I want to say is this. If there is no ground, if we don't have any structure to check corruption, then the issue of checking corruption is like a joke, a very big joke. Let me say this. The anti-graft agencies, they aren't perfect, but they are doing their best. But where they are frustrated by people in power, either by the judicial process or by even the prosecutorial process, because they are in control of the prosecution. They are also in control to a large extent of the judiciary. The Attorney General, can put his one hand in his pocket and stand in the court and say the case against this man is withdrawn and issue a nollie prosecute. And that is it.
That's the end of the case.
He can even send a pooping lawyer, like a youth copper, from his office with a letter and tell the judge, as long as judgment has not been delivered, that case. So sometimes you interact with the people in the anti-graft agencies. They do their best. They generate information. They get evidence. But they are frustrated.
The political will.
Yes. The political will is just not there.
Okay.
And you know why? Because some of the major actors in the political arena are possibly involved.
Okay. Bishop, yes, you are talking about the issue of NNPC still playing this monopolistic role in terms of fixing the price. So if we're saying that the price should be determined by the interplay of demand and supply, the market forces, why is NNPC still fixing the price? NNPC is limited. You started out with us.
You see, that is where I don't know the power and the reason that NNPC employed.
Maybe it's part of the law.
It's not part of it.
Okay.
Because this time now, with the deregulation, it's now open market. That is why they have bonded NNPC and call it NNPC Nigeria Limited. ITV cannot tell NTA how much they should fees for an advert. ITV cannot tell EBS or channel how much they should take for an advert. The market forces will decide that for them because they are in competition. I was so surprised because we are planning to meet with DPR, the governor and the commissioner of police, that we want to go and sell the petrol at every filling station that have fuel that is selling above the pump price or that refuse to sell. While we were holding that meeting, then all we saw again was the NNPC fixing a price. Mega stations that have zero queue round everywhere immediately changed from 192 to 511. Every car there disappeared. Today, go to NNPC, you hardly can find 5 or 7 cars. I was at Ikobahi yesterday. The almighty Bouvet has only 1 car at the filling station. To tell you what NNPC have done to Nigerians. Not the president. Because the president always say subsidy is gone. He has not told us when, how.
But he shouldn't have made a statement in the first place.
Wait.
He shouldn't.
He has to, because he doesn't want that scandal.
So why are you not holding responsible for the effect and impact of the subsidy that we are seeing?
I'm coming.
Yes.
I'm coming. Now, because the previous government have paid for subsidy to ending of this month. And by implication, there is no budgetary provision for sustenance of subsidy from July. It was a statement to keep us informed that there is something ahead of us. Who modeled the whole thing was NNPC. And if I was to be president, I will call the group managing director to order and for question. Who told you to fix price? At what level was that meeting held? With whom did you hold the meeting with? Are you hearing me? Then I will say revise it back until ending of June. Then he has put vice president now as a member of the committee to work out modalities for possible palliative and salary increase. If you increase the salary for workers, how many are they?
Okay.
Are they up to 2 million in this country? Then by the time you increase, the transport cost will go up. Goods and services will go up. Rent will go up. Then where is that salary you say you have increased?
Okay, all right.
So the effect is still going to boil down on the individual. But with process of time, we will benefit.
All right, Chief, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel? Is there any way the president can be exonerated from what you are seeing right now as it relates to the subsidy?
It cannot be exonerated. Like you said, is the NNP different from government? Like in my opening remarks, I said that what the president will have done from that transition period to when he was sworn in, he would have been able to study this situation and know that subsidy removal at the first statement is a very, very wrong, or it was not tactical at all. All the man will have done is to say, okay, I'm setting up a committee before the end of June. Hence, provision has been made for subsidy till the end of June. Even we are hearing now that there was no money paid. I don't understand it. As far as we know, Nigerians, it is a law that was signed by the president that there's a subsidy, accommodation till the end of June. So all they will have done is to say, okay, they are now setting up a committee on how to bring palliative. For how long will that one take? How long are you going to import buses? For how many months? For who? You see, so the whole thing is complicit. I said, NNPC, whether you say it will be a bundle, it's all huge joke. There is no way. NNPC is the sole importer of petrol. And you say NNPC is not limited. Why didn't he allow other key players to import their own fuel? Like what they did to kerosene, what they did to diesel. At one point, we're buying diesel for 900. It's gradually dropping to like 700 now. But it's still not the best. Okay. We started from 200. It now started climbing. Because number one, if NNPC is so important of petrol, they must fix the price because they are the one paying for it. They are the one taking delivery. As I said, they are complicit in this thing. Because with the modern technology, if any ship is loaded in Afghanistan coming to Nigeria, you'll be able to track it. What is the content of that ship?
Yeah.
The date is betted and delivery. So NNPC, they know all these things, but they just turn the blind eye because they are sharing from the fraud. So until the government is ready to grapple with this fraud of corruption, like I said just now, you're talking about EFCC. They arrested Obiano, even when it was on social media, it was on short nika. After one we were released, did you hear anything about that case tomorrow?
The matter is still going on.
Going on when? For how long?
It's still going on.
Does it take more than 6 months to prosecute a case?
No, it takes
But the Yahoo boys, you see, they pursue them all over the place. The Yahoo, they will seize their car, they go to court every day. When it comes to this government thing, they don't go to court. Go and find out. Like, there's a huge joke. We are not ready at all.
Okay. All right. Yes, Barrister, quickly.
What I want to say is this. You see, NNPC, who appointed, because the law says that a principal is liable for the action of his agents. So you cannot say somebody is your agent. He took an action and you are not liable. Now, NNPC, who appointed the GMD, or by whose behest is he there? Let's say he was appointed by the previous government. He is there at your pleasure. If he does anything against your will, can you not call him to order?
Absolutely.
So how can you say that NNPC is the one who did it? The buck stops at the president's table. And if he says yes, that is when something can go on. If he says no, he can call NNPC to order. So I do not agree that the president is not aware or is not the one who increased it. Even if, as some people are contesting, that the previous government increased it, He was part and parcel of the government. He was a chieftain of the party in power. And also, can you not reverse it?
It has 3 months.
It is necessary. And then, like has been said, why should you, on the first day of office, make that your priority? And then, provision was made, budgetary allocation, that subsidy should stay until June. Why is it taking effect?
Breaking the law.
Immediately.
Okay. If you just join us, it's still Politics Today on independent television and radio this beautiful Saturday morning on the ITV Nigeria network. As always the case, our studio line will be open soonest, so you can call and be part of the discussion. We're also monitoring situation in Abuja, where the 10th National Assembly will be inaugurated, and I will keep you up to speed with that as well. But now let's quickly go back to our conversation here in the studio to talk about the electricity bill that has been signed into law by President Bola Tinubu. How will this benefit the ordinary Nigerian? We've seen those monopolistic tendencies of those that have held sway in the electricity sector for a long time, but that has come to an end with the law that has been signed. Edo State Governor Godwin Inogaga Obaseki took a lead in that with the Oshomo power plant that has been delivering to Edo people, even though there are complaints that it is quite expensive to deal with the plant or deal with Oshomo compared to BEDC. But now we're having more people coming into the picture. How will all of this impact on the lives of the average Nigerian? People say every now and then that if you solve the electricity problem in Nigeria, you probably would have solved more than 50% of the problem of the country. Bishop, you want to subscribe to this?
Of course, yes.
Go ahead, please.
Because every facet, every business is linked to power. You know how much you spend in running plant here to sustain this business. And if you are having the normal electricity, you will not spend 1/10 of such money on payment of electricity used. It's cheaper. So I also want to thank him for that foresight, because he also mentioned that in Lagos, he wanted to bring in China when he was governor, but Obasanjo stopped it. And he also promised in our town hall discussion at civil society with him that as soon as he wins, he is going to ensure that this issue of light is taken care of. And if you see the new law passed, that is different from the Power Reform Act, is that individual can generate power to 50 kilowatts, 100 kilowatts. He specified them as to how much you can generate.
Okay.
Now, if that is the issue, individuals should encourage themselves to brace up. Today, so many people are using inverter in their houses, in their community. So if you are using that, you no longer think of a BEDC or any other
source of power.
Disco
Yeah.
or source of power.
Yeah.
So if that can be sustained, there is wind energy, there is waste energy, there is sun energy,
Solar energy.
solar energy. There is also water energy.
Yeah.
Wind.
And we have all these good things around us in this country.
Okay.
Our sunlight is good here. There is good wind here. There's a lot of waste here that we are not using.
Okay.
So
All right.
if they can go into all these ones, you see that issue of light will be a thing of the past.
Chief, let's get your comment on the electricity deregulation, as it were.
It's a good development for more players to come into the electricity, either distribution or generation or whatever. It will help us. But I'm still highly concerned about the basis for controlling the tariff. Like you said just now, the Osiomo one was supposed to be an alternative to BEDC. The Osiomo one is on course, but the rate is very high, and so the ordinary person cannot afford it. That's why I said just now that the government must come into regulating. There must be a cap where you cannot go above. When you start bring in more players, it's supposed to bring the price down.
Okay.
One of the problems we are facing with this refinery thing here and there is because all our refineries are not working. If they were working and Dangote is there and all these modular things, modular refineries are coming into play, you see the price will drop drastically. But the Osiomo one, like you mentioned at the beginning of your opening remark, is that people are complaining that it's too high. That's why they are not going there. People are still stuck with BEDC. Like me, I run a hotel, and I know what I pay. And I will have a source for that Osiomo DC, but because of the high rate of their tariff, that's why we are scared. But government is able to pay because they are part of it. I don't know whether they are giving a special reduction or special rate for government to pay less than individual. But my friends that have connected, they are all complaining. But it would have been better if they are the same power with BEDC and their own light is regular. That would have helped the economy to grow. That's my take.
Okay. Barrister, will you talk to us before we open our studio lines?
Okay. Now, concerning the electricity bill, it is commendable because our goods really have not been competitive in the international market because of the cost of production. Price is always relative to the cost of production. And then for the Oshomo power plant, I'm not holding a brief for the government. They had some constraint. The price of the crudes, the price of some of the materials they use,
Gas.
or determine gas, was controlled by the federal government.
And the international market
yes,
too?
and the international market. And indeed, the federal government fixed the price. So it was a major constraint.
All right. Our studio number is 080-7777-0300. Dial that number right now, right away, and let's get your take on our conversation today on the program Politics Today on Independent Television and Radio. Please endeavor to turn down the audio level of your TV or radio set to remove the echo. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Go ahead with your contribution. Please turn down the audio level on your TV or radio set to remove the echo so we can hear you properly, and also be as brief as possible because we have several other people waiting on the line to make their own contribution. Hello, caller. Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Okay, we'll just continue with the conversation. Another major thing that is being expected in the country right now is the inauguration of the next National Assembly. That has been a very thorny issue with a lot of lobbying and all of that going on. I mean, the Arewa Consultative Forum recently issued a statement saying that they don't believe that it will be for the best interest of the president to influence the leadership at the National Assembly. Do you subscribe to this, Bishop?
Well, there is no way we can separate the president or governor from influencing who should be the leader of the legislative arm. Because if he did not make an input to support such person, and the person emerge on
let me take this call. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Yeah, this is Emmanuel speaking.
Yes, I did mention at the beginning that you need to turn down the audio level of your TV or radio set, or you move backward.
Is it okay now?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm listening to your discussion.
Okay.
We just believe that what they are trying to tell us, they should be sincere. Because there are times when they are coming up like this, they say one thing, as time goes on, they do another thing. But we pray that with what we are saying, let there be sincerity. Because the previous government, that's what they normally do. They tell you they will do this, at the end of the day, they are not going to do anything. we pray that this one will be sincere.
Okay.
So that's my own record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Romanus. The number is still on the screen. Dial it and tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then go ahead with your contribution. Please always ensure that you are brief because there are several other people waiting on the line. Good morning, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Ifa Ashuku. I'm calling you from Masaka in Nasarawa State.
Nasarawa State, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. The first subsidy removal is good. But the way the Mr. President rushed this thing without consulting the transport department, National Union of Road Transport, and other people, and how to sit down with the people of thought how to make it, it was so harsh. That was not what we need for him to come. He promised restructuring. And I was expecting with insecurity that all these services to have been go first and bring in people that will make this country like Maguno is an engineering. It's not an artillery. And it is not going to put this country to there. Things are getting deteriorated here. Then we are hurrying in petrol. And before this thing happened, I told you that both Atiku and Tinubu, they are investors. Our policy has been already put in danger. Good people cannot come and rule this country. So God will help us to make sure that we are out of this. And our brother from the north, I'm from the north. They are crying now. The people laughed yesterday. Buhari deal with the Christians in the north and everywhere. And he go. Now they are crying. They never cry. They should prepare. They will cry.
Okay. All right, Isa. Thank you.
How can you say the number one person Muslim, second Muslim, third, then they are talking of National Assembly should be a Muslim, then the other one should be a Muslim. What are we going?
All right, Isa, let me pause you there. Thank you for your views. Thank you so much. 08077770300. That's our studio number. You can dial it right now and join the live conversation on Politics Today on ITV Nigeria Network. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then go ahead with your contribution. Please endeavor to be as brief as possible so others can take their turns on the program. Call the number now, 080, I beg your pardon, 77770300. That's our studio number. Okay, Bishop, yes, we had you on.
The president must be really interested in who become a leader of the legislative arm.
Okay.
So that he will not also have a hitch when bills are being passed or when they are carrying out their oversized function. Then two, if you listen to the vice president, he's appealing, not that they are forcing it on them, that since the president is a Muslim, himself is a Muslim, that for equity, justice, and balance, they should make sure that they have a Christian as a speaker, as a Senate president. And if the North is raising issue and thinking that the best thing is for them to have it and bring in a Muslim, is a wrong signal.
Okay.
And that is what the president is trying to avoid and the vice president.
All right, Chief, yeah, what's your take on this? National leadership at the National Assembly.
He has no business there at all. You see, I said Nigeria is a huge joke. If you know you are doing the right thing, if you forward your bill that has to do with the people, for the benefit of Nigerians, for the benefit of all, you don't have to go there and lobby anybody. They should try as much as possible to be transparent in whatever they want to do. If they want to serve us, they are supposed to hold this power on our behalf. They are our chief servant. They have no business trying to impose anybody on anything. The governors today, they do the same thing. By tomorrow, when they are stealing, nobody is challenging them. When they say they are doing one project for 10 billion, the speaker has no moral justification because he has collected his own to go and challenge to say that whatever program that you have in place is not tenable. See, if you allow these things to play, if you allow a free and fair election in National Assembly, let them, these are adults, they are not children. Let them come together and they can reason together, whether Christian you want or Muslim or pagan or non-believer or Hindus or whatever you want. They are adults. Some of them are even senior to this president or the vice president we are talking about. These are adults. Let them come together and say, okay, for the benefit of all, as the Reverend said, for equity and all that, they can reason within themselves.
Okay.
And say, let us get a Christian. If they do that, then nobody is coming from outside to come and impose anybody to them. Okay. But what they did, they just wrote to them to say, we want Akpabio to be president of this. We want Abbas to be a speaker for this. You don't do things like that at this modern time. That's why they're having issues.
Okay. 070-807777-0300. That's our studio number on Politics Today, live on ITV Network. Tell us your name and where you're calling from, and go ahead with your contribution. Please try as much as possible to be civil in your language and be brief, because others are waiting. Also, let us know where you're calling us from. Yeah, Barrister, quickly talk to us about what's the goings on as it relates to who becomes what in the National Assembly.
If we say that the president must have interest in it, then where does the balance of power stand? And then the issue of separation of power, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Because look at what is happening in America today. You know, if not for the Republicans that have taken over the leadership of the House, look at the cases against Biden, bribery, corruption. Look at the woke ideology that is being unearthed. Then look at the issue of China taking over even farmlands in the U.S. These were things that were covered but have been unearthed because they allowed the leadership of the House to be selected or to be elected by the members of the House.
Okay.
It took 15 rounds of votes. It was very contentious. The nation was held spellbound, but the White House stayed away. And America is having the best for it.
Okay. Okay, let's take this call. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Good morning, caller. Good morning. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where you calling from? 080-7777-0300. That's our studio number. Call the line right now and be part of the discussion on Politics Today on ITV Nigeria Network. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from. Be as brief as possible, and please always endeavor to turn down the audio level of your TV and radio. Well, that's much time will permit us on the show today. I want to say, okay, let's see if we can get this call. Hello, caller. Good morning. Good morning. Tell us. Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Chris Vincent. I'm calling from Ekewa Road in Benin here.
All right, please go ahead.
I want to commend all those who are there. They've been talking well.
Thank you.
But there's just one thing I need to correct. The price fixing. We understand that it is the NNPC that is solely portal the product as we speak, right? And so based on that, they have the right to fix the price. They can't stop until everyone starts deporting. I mean, the other investors who are willing to go in and deport.
Okay.
So that is just what I want us to know. For now, it's only the NNPC that is deporting, and so they have the right to fix the price, which is very unfortunate anyway. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you. 080-7777-0300. That's the studio number. If you can dial it right now, you can participate on the program. Good morning, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, good morning. My name is Mr. Emmanuel. I'm calling from Benin.
Mr. Emmanuel, please go ahead.
First of all, I want to commend Mr. President and the Edo State Governor, Mr. Vaseki,
Okay.
for the very brief one. But my take is on this issue of the palliative for the people to cushion the effect. So what I think government should do, because definitely the palliative will not still get to the masses. So why not subsidize, the prices of food so that the people can get it by themselves at a cheaper rate? For me, that's just what I think. Even if you give billions upon billions, the same politician will still hijack it. It won't still get to the poor. The poor is just reserved for maybe for issues to rise. They will just use the noises of the poor riot to cover up what they are doing. So they should subsidize what the poor are consuming so that the poor will be self-sufficient.
Okay.
I said the government will be doing their thing.
Okay. All right.
That's my statement.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Our last call on the program today. I want to say big thanks to everyone that made the show a huge success. We'll be back here next week, Saturday, with a fresh edition of the program. Well, let me say big thanks to our panelists, Bishop Osadolo Che.
Thank you.
Thank
God
you for
bless
coming.
you. Thank you, listeners.
Kenwe, thank you
viewers
for
at
coming.
home.
Thank you for having me.
Barrister
Thank you,
Gogi,
viewers.
thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, it's the responsibility of the government to take care of its citizens. I mean, fundamentally, the issue of security is something government must give adequate attention to. When policies are created or produced or enacted, and those policies are not living up to expectations, it is expected of government to do away with such policies. But if the intention is right, you follow through to logical conclusion. I'm saying that in relation to the fuel subsidy removal. Government says it's good intention, and so they are bringing forth palliatives to cushion the effect. But the question is, what are the parameters used to determine who benefits from the palliatives? We can't forget in a hurry the End SARS protest that brought forth a lot of revelations where palliatives were kept in warehouses. Some of them got rotted, some of them got stolen, some of them got spoiled. They were never given to the masses. In fact, in some states, the governors kept those palliatives and started using them as campaign materials. When they're going to campaigns, they get some chunks of it that they distribute to the people to woo their consciences and their minds. That's wickedness of the highest order. We're hoping that when government eventually decides to bring forth the palliatives to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal, they will get to the right people who truly needs them. We hope that when the structure and strategies is put in place for the palliatives to come through the governors to get to the people, or whatever channel that government decides to use, it will truly get to the masses. We want to commend Mr. President for the electricity bill that has been signed into law. We hope to see more private investors come into the business. I mean, what is wrong? If ITV, for example, can generate its own power, why not? It means that ITV can do more, ITV can employ more people, and the business will continue to grow. If we can have an investor take only Ekenwa Road to service only Ekenwa Road, and the people are happy with the services being rendered, what's wrong with that? These were things that previous government tried to do, but those who are in the sway, those who are in the business, the deep states, the elites, they frustrated it because many of them were just there to continue to cash out. But all of those cashing out, they've all come to an end, and we hope it stays that way. That's my take on the show today. I want to say big thanks to everyone that made the program a huge success. My name is Sonny Duke Okos, wishing you a great weekend.